This is Martin Sheen. He's drunk. Actually drunk. And this is real blood pouring from his hand after he punched through a mirror. This isn't acting. This is a man having a complete mental breakdown on camera. And this is Francis Ford Coppola, one of Hollywood's greatest directors, and he's about to lose everything. His house, his winery, his sanity. This is a film that was supposed to take 14 weeks. It took 16 months. A film where the lead actor nearly died from a heart attack, where real human corpses were discovered on set, where Marlon Brando showed up massively overweight and refused to learn his lines, where the director threatened suicide multiple times. This isn't a war movie. This is war. This is Apocalypse Now. Chapter 1: The Impossible Dream. In 1969, screenwriter John Milius gave Francis Ford Coppola a script, Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, set in Vietnam, a journey up a river into madness, a mission to assassinate a rogue colonel who had become a god in the jungle. George Lucas was supposed to direct it during the actual war. No studio would touch it. By 1975, Coppola had conquered Hollywood. 2 Godfather films. He decided to make Apocalypse Now himself. He mortgaged everything he owned. His house, his winery, everything. If this film failed, he would lose it all. The plan was simple. Fly to the Philippines, shoot for 5 months, come home with a masterpiece. What could possibly go wrong? Chapter 2: 3 Men Descending. Francis Ford Coppola was a perfectionist who would rewrite the script on location, shoot without knowing the ending, and push everyone past their breaking point. His wife Eleanor documented everything with her camera. That footage would become Hearts of Darkness, one of the greatest making-of documentaries ever made. Martin Sheen was not the first choice. Al Pacino turned it down. Steve McQueen turned it down. Harvey Keitel was cast, flew to the Philippines, and after 2 weeks, Coppola fired him. The footage wasn't working. Enter Martin Sheen, a recovering alcoholic, 36 years old, about to spend the next year and a half in hell. Marlon Brando was paid $3.5 million for 3 weeks of work. When he arrived in September 1976, he was massively overweight, between 200 and 285 pounds. He hadn't lost weight as asked. He claimed he hadn't read the source material. He refused to memorize lines. Chapter 3: Hell Begins. March 1976. Harvey Keitel is fired 2 weeks in. Millions of dollars of footage become worthless. Martin Sheen arrives. Production restarts. They're filming in the jungles of Luzon. The heat is suffocating. Diseases everywhere. Malaria, dysentery, hookworm. The Philippine government lent them helicopters. But whenever President Marcos needed them to fight communist rebels, they would simply fly away mid-shoot. The crew would stand there watching their helicopters disappear to fight an actual war. Dennis Hopper arrived drunk and high, allegedly using cocaine on set. Sam Bottoms later admitted he was dropping acid and doing speed during filming. Even Coppola started smoking marijuana. He said, "It was like Vietnam. Everybody was doing it. I started getting very paranoid." The line between film and reality was dissolving. Chapter 4: The Birthday Breakdown. August 3rd, 1976. Martin Sheen's 36th birthday. They're shooting the opening scene. Willard drunk in a hotel room, waiting for his mission. Coppola tells him to get actually drunk. Really drunk. By the time cameras rolled, Sheen could barely stand. Coppola tells him to look in the mirror, to frighten himself. Sheen stumbles forward and throws a punch. His hand goes through the mirror. Real blood pours from his palm. He keeps performing, smears blood across his face, collapses, sobs, screams. That scene became one of the most famous in cinema history, and it nearly killed Martin Sheen. Chapter 5: Typhoon and Corpses. May 1976. Typhoon Olga slams into the Philippines with 190-mile-per-hour winds. The storm destroys up to 80% of the sets. Millions of dollars of construction wiped out. Production shuts down completely. Coppola takes out massive loans to rebuild, but the typhoon wasn't the worst thing. Co-producer Gray Fredrickson was inspecting the rebuilt sets when he noticed dead rats everywhere. Then, someone muttered, "Wait till he hears about the dead bodies." Behind the canteen, he found them. A pile of actual human corpses. Real cadavers purchased from a supplier who turned out to be a grave robber. The production designer wanted them hung from trees as set decoration. When Philippine police discovered this, they seized every crew member's passport. The entire production was detained, while authorities investigated whether they had a serial killer on set. Eventually, they concluded no murders had occurred. Soldiers came with trucks. Fredrickson asked where the bodies would go. The soldiers shrugged. "We'll dump them somewhere." Chapter 6. The Heart Attack. March 5th, 1977, a year into production. Martin Sheen is filming in a remote jungle. Late at night, alone, he feels terrible pain in his arm, then his chest. He's having a heart attack. He's 36 years old. He crawls a quarter mile to a road. A bus picks him up. A priest administers last rites. He believes he's dying. Here's the insane part. The film is so over budget that Sheen and Coppola fear if investors learn about the heart attack, they'll shut down production. So they lie. They tell everyone it was heat stroke. Sheen's brother, Joe Estevez, is secretly flown to the Philippines. For 6 weeks, Joe stands in for Martin in distant shots and shadows. When Sheen finally returned to set in mid-April, his hair had turned gray. His beard was gray. The life had been drained from him. He later said, "I chose to have that heart attack. There was part of me that was already dead." Chapter 7. Brando in Shadows. September 1976, Marlon Brando finally arrives. 2 weeks late. Massive. Unprepared. The original vision was a gaunt, skeletal Kurtz. Now, Coppola had an overweight actor and a script that didn't work. Production halted again. Coppola and Brando disappeared onto a houseboat for a week. They rewrote everything. Coppola made a brilliant decision. Hide Brando's weight. Dress him in black. Film him only in shadows. Make Kurtz mythical, a figure more than a man. Let Brando improvise all his dialogue. That improvisation created the horror, but Dennis Hopper was a problem. He arrived late, unable to remember lines, using drugs heavily. Brando hated him. During dinner, Hopper allegedly joked, "I bet you haven't read the book." Brando exploded and stormed off. He refused to ever be on set at the same time as Hopper. Coppola had to film them separately. Their scenes together were shot on different nights and edited together. Chapter 8. The Breaking Point. By early 1977, Coppola was broken. The film had been shooting for over a year, catastrophically over budget. He still didn't know the ending. In audio recordings from the set, you can hear his voice cracking. "I'm going to be bankrupt anyway. I'm thinking of shooting myself. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I could injure myself so I'd have a graceful way out." His wife Eleanor watched him deteriorate. She kept filming, documenting the madness. Coppola finally found his ending reading about ritual sacrifice. Kurtz needed to be killed as a god, not in battle. He flew back and shot the ending, intercutting Willard's assassination with the actual ritual slaughter of a water buffalo. Photography wrapped in May 1977, 16 months after it began. Coppola had shot over 1 million feet of film. A finished 2-hour movie uses about 11,000 feet. He shot 90 times that much. Now he had to edit it. That would take 2 more years. Chapter 9. Legacy. May 1979, Cannes Film Festival. Coppola screens an unfinished work in progress. The reaction is electric. At the press conference, he makes his famous statement, "My film is not about Vietnam. It is Vietnam. It was crazy. And the way we made it was very much like the way the Americans were in Vietnam. We had too much money, too much equipment, and little by little, we went insane." The film wins the Palme d'Or. August 1979. Apocalypse. Now premieres in America. Reviews are divided. Some call it a masterpiece. Others call it incoherent. But time would judge differently. Today, it's consistently ranked as one of the greatest films ever made. But the cost was devastating. Chapter 10. what they lost. Martin Sheen didn't make another film for 2 years. He chose alcoholism over his family. It would be another decade before he got sober. He still has the scar on his hand from that mirror. Dennis Hopper spent years battling addiction. Sam Bottom's liver was permanently damaged by hookworm. Marlon Brando felt betrayed and never spoke about the film again. Their friendship ended. Francis Ford Coppola was forever changed. He would never work like that again. Never risk everything. Never descend that deep. His wife Eleanor said it best. It was like watching someone you love go insane. In 2001 and 2019, Coppola released new versions. He's been editing this film for over 40 years, trying to find the perfect version, trying to make sense of what he created in that jungle. Maybe there is no perfect version. Maybe the film is exactly what it was always meant to be, a document of madness, a war fought not just on screen, but behind the cameras. The horror, not just of war, but of creation, of art pushed past all reasonable limits. 45 years later, Apocalypse Now remains one of the most powerful films ever made, not despite its troubled production, but because of it. Every frame carries the weight of what it cost. You can feel the madness, the exhaustion, the darkness, because it isn't just a film about Vietnam. It is Vietnam. Thank you for listening. Some masterpieces are worth the cost. This one lives in that terrible space between.